This is quite a year for Amador High. This is our 100th year on this campus. I think June 14th is the official day, but my memory is not quite that good. I missed a few days in there. We have one other building on this campus dedicated to a person who has been instrumental in the development of Amador High School and the elementary schools in the district, and that's the Leland O. Glandon Gymnasium. The decade 1960 was quite a year for this high school. On Labor Day 1961, 4 days before we were to start a new semester, a new year, a new school year, we had a devastating wildfire go through the area. Most of you probably don't even remember it. But, well, I see a couple that say yes, they do. That fire burned our gymnasium right down to the ground, and that was our band room, that was our performing arts center, that was kind of the main part of this campus. It was over here by the tennis courts. You're sitting on the baseball diamond when I started teaching here, so you can see that things have changed a bit. Well, during the 1960s, with the loss of that building, we started a new building program here at Amador High School, and that resulted in the replacement of the gymnasium with this one that we have out here. And instead of incorporating the music and drama department in the gymnasium, we built a special building for them. The back half is the music, the front half is drama, and I'll mention a few other things about it in a minute. Giles has kind of made that building what it is. In 1967, we had an English teacher by the name of Mr. Johnson who was leaving the area, and we were looking for a teacher. It was an interesting time for me because I had just become principal, so I was going to get to hire this new teacher. Mr. Jim Lucas, who was the principal before I got the lucky position, he became superintendent. And somehow along the way, we got an application from some young teacher up in Loyalton, California, up near the border by Reno. I don't know, how many people do you have up there, Giles? 4 or 5?
Actually 6.
Okay. We had this application. We gambled. We met Giles. He tells me, and I don't even remember. You can see how I was impressed by by meeting with him and interviewing him. But he tells me we met him at a casino.
Sahara.
So it was a first-class gamble. We offered him a job. He said, I don't want it.
No, I didn't say that.
Well, you said you weren't interested.
I said, wait a minute.
So we waited a minute and we invited him down here to see our campus. And when he came on board, he saw this building over here, brand new, 2 years old? And he says, is that going to be my classroom? And we said, well, yeah. He said, I'll take the job. More or less. And he signed a contract, and in 1968, Giles started here. He's done a lot of things with kids. He's been a coach. He taught them how to run. Well, I think. He was cross-country coach. He was a football coach. He taught them how to talk. He was a speech drama coach. But the one thing that I have noticed, and especially just sitting here talking to some of the people that have known Giles for a good many years, and he's been here, I think, about 45 years at this school. 46, he tells me. See, my arithmetic is shot. I have never heard so many compliments about how a teacher affected the students. In fact, I was at a dentist's office over in Plymouth the other day, and the mother said, you going to that dedication for Giles? I said, yeah, I'll be there. She says, I think that is a tremendous thing, a great recognition of a man who did so much for kids. My son would never have graduated from this high school if it hadn't been for Giles. I've heard that today a half a dozen times already, that people said, gee, he's great. My grandkids had him. My great-grandkids have had him. He's a fixture. And it's a real privilege for me to be able to say thank you to a great teacher. And the important thing about this building is that Giles will always be part of this campus. That building, that building is Giles. I can remember as a principal, I hated to walk out to his classroom because I never knew what was going to be there or what was going to happen or what he was going to do. That building is Giles. I was in there a few minutes ago, and it hasn't changed in almost 50 years. But it's still a wonderful facility for what Giles does with young students at this high school. We have been so fortunate to have him. And I think this dedication today is so appropriate for a person who is dedicated to your kids and your grandkids and your great-grandkids and on down the line. I come up here every once in a while to the high school for various reasons, and I always find Giles here, even though he's been retired for how many years now? A couple?
10 part-time.
Giles is always around. I came up the other night to look for something, and what was it, 7 o'clock, and here's Giles. I don't know how Shirley puts up with that, but but anyway, it's a real privilege for me to congratulate Giles on this momentous dedication. Like I say, Giles will always be part of this campus. He'll always be an important part of this high school. And now I think we need to listen to the students that had him. I understand that's coming next, and that's the important part. So Giles, congratulations. Thank you for accepting the job and sticking with me as a new principal and teaching me so much about human behavior. I would like to have taken a stick to him a time or two. But anyway, Giles, thank you and congratulations.
Thanks, Ben. We are going to hear from a couple of Giles' past students. We'll first hear from Barbara Kurzich, who was Best Actress in 1976. And then we will hear from Jenny Fritz, who was Best Actress back in 1982. Barbara.
Thank you. The Mad Woman of Chaillot, The Bald Soprano, The Lark, Interview, Flowers for Algernon, Marty, Harvey, The Rhymers of Eldritch, Splendor in the Grass, The Matchmaker, Antigone, The Diary of Anne Frank, The Night Thoreau Spent in Jail, Look Homeward, Angel. Antigone, The Diary of Anne Frank, The Night Thoreau Spent in Jail, Look Homeward, Angel. Those were the advanced drama productions in the late 60s and to the early 80s at Amador High. An impressive and ambitious choice for student actors. But we had a young, daring, and committed leader, Mr. Giles Turner. I was asked to speak for the baby boomers, the early followers of Mr. Turner. If it sounds like a cult, it was. Mr. Turner could change a shy, slightly awkward girl into a loud, slightly awkward girl. A super stud into a sensitive character. An indifferent student into a proud cast member. These were our transformations. Drama with Mr. Turner was a way to express our creativity and humanity. Plus, it was a lot of fun, I must say. But with that came a responsibility, strictly enforced. This led to an inspired dedication to our productions, our teachers, our fellow students, and to ourselves. It was not cool to let Mr. Turner down. We believed. We are here to dedicate the theater, but as Mr. Klotz said, we need to briefly remember the student newspaper, speech, and cross-country too. Mr. Turner took the broadcast very seriously, treating us like professional journalists, demanding accuracy and correct spelling, and these are good habits. He taught us forensics. I guess I'm thanking you now for that. How am I doing?
Great.
Debate and Parley Pro. He also coached the cross-country team. He had them running around the school at all hours of the day and night. Training hard was the way to win, and he was right there with them all the time. I can't believe the energy of this man. How do you keep up, Shirley? He was also actively involved in the elementary summer school program. It was there that I met Mr. Turner. It was scary, very scary. By a stroke of luck, Lindy, the reigning leading lady, or I should say femme fatale, April Anderson, transferred to another play, and I became the romantic ingenue, Prissy Lou. In the hillbilly saga, It's Cold in Them Bar Hills. Yes, it was a long time ago. I'm pleased to say it was the beginning of a caring and enduring relationship with Mr. Turner. One I treasure, and so did my late brother Sam. I don't know anyone who is more passionate about his or her job, who gives more of their time, who is fair and has a serious conscience. Can I say sometimes annoyingly so?
Yes. Go ahead and say it.
And I certainly don't know anyone more deserving of this prestigious honor. From the fine arts to Giles Turner Performing Arts Center, a fitting legacy. It will look very nice in the programs. Will all of the former and current Amador students please join me in saying, thank you, Mr. Turner.
Thank you, Mr. Turner.
Wow, Barbara, that's a tough act to follow. When Stan asked me if I would speak, I thought, okay, am I going to have to do a skit? Is there going to be a lot of acting involved? He's like, no, just keep it short, to the point. So I wouldn't miss this for the world. I mean, 50 years is a long time in any career, but dealing with high school kids, I don't know how you've done it, Giles, but my hat's off to you. I have to go back a little bit, back to the 80s. I'm kind of here representing the 80s, 90s, 2000s, and everybody else. When my family and I moved here in '79 from Southern California, I was extremely introverted, very shy, and I was encouraged by Mr. Mike and my mom to get involved with drama. Well, you know, not knowing a soul and coming to a new school is tough enough, and you throw in the hormones and puberty and all that. Anyways, Giles took me under his wing and fostered such devotion and compassion and creativity to, you know, allow the kids to be themselves, to just break out of their shells and be unique. And Giles, honestly, if it wasn't for you, I would not be who I am today. And my hat's off to you again. Actually, I'm not wearing a hat. My flower. But you know, there have probably been, I'm guessing, 20,000 kids who've passed through those very doors. And I am sure I speak for every single one of them. How inspiring you've been in more ways than everybody even knows. Your impact, you know, whether you became an actor and went to Hollywood, or whether you decided to be an artist or a stay-at-home mom or a teacher, whatever career people chose after high school, the ideas and the inspiration that they received from you, Giles, is priceless. So I look at you as my mentor and a good friend, not just as a teacher, you know, somebody I had to put up with for 4 years, because it's been about 30 years, roughly, and, you know, we still talk, so. So this is a really befitting day, and the building has your essence inside and out. It just permeates Giles Turner, and I am so proud to have been a part of your career and a part of your life, and I'm so happy that kids are still learning from you, Giles. Don't give it up, and whatever you do, don't get rid of your car. I think it needs to be immortalized, and we need to have it like completely covered with mosaics or something, and have it on display right here. Yeah, right here. You know, to go with the Giles Turner Performing Arts Center. I think you can't sell it, whatever you do. So anyways, I want to wrap it up by saying that I'm so proud to be here, and I'm sure I speak for every single person here, how amazing you are. And thank you, thank you, thank you. Let's give it up for Giles Turner.
Thank you, Barbara and Jenny. We're now going to have a presentation by Mary Walzer, former principal and current board member, and after that we'll get to hear from the man himself, Giles.
Just a short little vignette about Giles. My first day on campus was almost 20 years ago, and in walks Mr. Turner, introduces himself and says, "I'm Giles Turner," and I have no idea who Giles Turner is, but he leaves the office, and one of the women that was here at that time, Dorothy Mormon, she says, "Oh, that's Mr. Turner, he's just wonderful," and went on and about him, and I thought, okay, he's a drama teacher. So I go home, and the next morning I'm coming to work, and I am driving down the street, and I see this big white tank, and I'm thinking, wow, that is the biggest car I've ever seen. How's it going to get past me on the street? And he's not going very fast, maybe 5 miles an hour. And he passes me, and I look over and I go, "That's Giles Turner." Oh my gosh. Well, Giles, that is a classic Ford Galaxy, and you are a classic guy. And we have from the California legislature, I know, here you go, certificate of recognition presented to Mr. Giles Turner on the occasion of the Amador High School Fine Arts Building being named in your honor and for your 50 years of service teaching the students of Amador County. Congratulations. Signed by the Assembly member and the Senator. You can sit.
Larry said I could sit.
He can sit. We've heard a lot of wonderful words about Giles Turner, and I'm going to say that the biggest word for me was he was and is an inspiration. And I was a first-time principal, and he inspired me, and for 7 years I could count on him, and I think that that's how the students always felt. Count on Giles Turner. He is an inspiration. And now it is my pleasure to open the sign over here. I hope this doesn't fall on you. Right here. And here we go.
That's very nice. That's very nice. Thanks for coming. Thanks for sacrificing your Saturday afternoon and making some space here. Stan Redkey is responsible for this. Stan, thank you. Diane. Stan and Richard Kingsmill, his partner in crime, came up to school on a Saturday, and maybe it was February. We had our work day in the morning, and they said, "Giles, sit down." I said, "Oh, good Lord, what's going on now?" And they told me about this, and I gasped, and I put my head down. And I said, "Oh, good heavens." And they said, come on, you'll survive, go with it. And I appreciate this so much. I'm humbled by the whole dedication, and it is important to me. And I'm flattered, and it's wonderful to have you here, along with my family, my wife Shirley, Jared Critchfield, Jared's Larry's your dad, right?
Yes.
Okay. Do I get confused all the time? No, never. Larry was a student when I was here, when I first came, and your mom was a student here, Linda Bergman, right? There you go. Boy, I get extra credit for that. Yeah. Linda was, speaking of history, I'll try to make this short. Linda, this was the home ec room, and the teacher in there was Louise Hall. Speaking, yeah. And out in front of school, there's a bench, and the bench is dedicated to the memory of
Jim Davis.
Jim Davis.
Coach Davis.
Coach Davis, right. I'm not sure when Louise came. Both Jim Davis and Louise were from Oklahoma, and they were tight too. And they were just fun people to be around. And Jim Davis, his bench is out there. And Ben, when did Jim Davis come?
About 1956 or so.
He only missed by 1 year. Jim Davis, 1955 to 85. And I remember the last day that Jim was at Amador. He was out in the gym. Do you remember that, Ben? Were you the principal in 85? And children, high school students, this is hard to say, lined up, and they were weeping, and just special people that were part of the school. And I'm so flattered to be associated with this campus. And Mary, thank you very much. And my pal from Jackson, Joe Garcia. Joe, thank you. Joe, I thought you might say something kind. Okay. Joe and I don't know whether it was the railroad tracks or whatever, but he was a devoted, hardworking principal at Amador High School, but his heart also was residing in Jackson. Right, Joe? Dan Schutz was the principal here, and my children were here, and they absolutely love him. Dad, how's Mr. Schutz? How's Mr. Schutz? Have you seen Mr. Schutz? And Jenny, of course, and Barbara, and the memory of Sammy. And speaking of my children, Aaron Turner, graduate of Amador High School. Colleen Turner, graduate of Amador High School. And there is a Brendan Turner who's somewhere. And sitting next to Brendan, my brother Noel and his wife Denise. Ariana Leggett, our granddaughter, and Carlton is here. And your mom, Kirsten. There's Kirsten Leggett, our daughter-in-law, and Colleen's husband, Edward Goldstein, and their children, Max and Logan, and Edward's mom, Diana, and Jonathan. Jonathan, my buddy Jonathan, right there. So, okay, well, thanks a lot. I'll remember this day. I will. And thank you so much, Ben. And it was funny. Ben did hire me, and it's sort of an interesting story. If you have 2 more minutes, I interviewed at Ione. Bob Briggs said, "Do you really want to teach here?" And I said, "Okay, maybe you can talk me out of it." I went to Calaveras, and I said, "Where's the stage?" And they said, "Well, you can teach theater in the music room." Because I was teaching in Loyalton for 4 years. And we went to other places too, and I said, "This is way too hard. Let's just stay in Loyalton." Jim Lucas, on the way to school in the morning, it was in May, phones me in Loyalton and said, "We just got your application." I sent it to Amador. I went in the Sacramento Bee and looked through the basketball log. Amador High School, Jackson High School. So I sent the application to Jackson High School, a little strip of paper saying, "I can teach at your school, hire me." I sent it to Calaveras High School, Calaveras, California, Jackson High School, Jackson, California, Amador High School, Amador, California. So for a month or so, the letter was over in Amador City. So they finally got it to Sutter Creek, and it's 2 miles away. It's government work, so it's not that important. So Jim Lucas phones me. I'm on my way to school, and we'd like to interview you. We have a job opening. And I said, "Well, thanks a lot, but we've decided not to leave Loyalton. We're going to stay here." He said, No, please. We'll meet you at South Lake Tahoe. The new principal, Ben Klotz, and I will meet you up there. And I said, "Well, okay." And then Ben came in, met them in the lobby of the hotel, and Ben had in his hand, right, Ben? Ben said, oh, by the way, I'm taking way too long, but this is sort of funny. Ben says he doesn't remember a thing about this. And I said, "Ben, it was the most important thing in my whole life, almost getting hired to come to Amador High School." And he said, Okay. I said, don't you remember, Ben, you met me in the lobby and you had a suit on and I had a suit on and Jim Lucas was there? Okay. And we sat down and Ben, the first thing you took out was what?
The contract.
No, the skip. He took out the yearbook and he said, this is our school. Look at this yearbook. And I went through the whole thing. And then they said, and now we have a contract. And I think Jim Lucas sent you upstairs to get the contract. And he came down and they said, okay, Giles, sign right here. I said, wait a second, I haven't even seen your school. I just see this yearbook and I see you two up at Tahoe. And they both look at me and said, we have talked to you for 1 hour and you're not going to sign this contract right now? I said, no. And they looked at me like, we've been deceived. And I said, okay, I'll make a deal. I'll come down next week and check it out. I said, is that high school in Soda Creek up on the hill? And they said, yes. So we came in, and as Ben said, walked into the fine arts, and I said, is this room going to be mine? And they said, yeah, it's going to be yours. And I said, okay. And they said, here's the contract. Sign it. And I said, you mean sign it today, now? Yes, today, now, sign it. I said, okay. What'd you say? My daughters are talking to me. Okay, and I said, okay, just give it to me and I'll take it home and I'll put it in the mail. They said, no, sign it right now. I said, give me the contract, I'm going to take it back to Loyalton and I probably will sign it and put it in the mail. Okay, that's the way it is. So we drove home and we said, what do you think? And we decided to come here. So that's it. So Ben Klotz and I were first-timers. My first principal here, and he had just become principal. And Ben and I, every once in a while, we disagreed a little. And Ben, I'm going to close it with this. Ben, do you remember the time you went into my room and I had done something naughty, and you went into my desk and you took my... You don't remember? You took my keys. I had to get down into the basement of the cafeteria down by Rand Huggett's room to get something or other, and there was a great big barricade, and I climbed over the top of the barricade and went in and got what I needed and climbed up and went back out, and I didn't have the keys for it. And Ben found out, Giles, were you in the such and such room? I said, yeah. He said, you're not supposed to be there. I said, I'm sorry. I didn't know what else to say except I was sorry. And he came into my room and took my keys. And I didn't have keys. I said, Dorothy, where are my keys? I can't find my keys. And about 2 weeks later, Ben, I learned my lesson, Ben. So, I'm talking way too much. Thanks for being part of this afternoon, and thanks for being here. And Jared, thank you very much too. And it's good to be here. It's good to be around good people. Thank you very much.
All right, Giles, one more thing, if you can come back up here. We hear you like the Oregon Shakespeare Festival in Ashland. So some of your friends have gotten together, gotten you tickets to that event this summer, and plenty of money for you and Shirley to enjoy yourselves there. Stan Redkey, I'll put this all together. He made the best point, I think, of all. He said that all too often we honor our legends after they've passed, and so he felt it was appropriate to honor someone while they're still here and can enjoy it. And so I think Giles is going to outlast all of us. But, thank you all for being here. We appreciate it. There's still more cake and water, and come talk to Giles. Thank you.